Welcome. I'm Jay Langston, the Executive Director of the Shenandoah Valley Partnership. We are very fortunate to be hosted in a great location today, Bath County, by Mark Spadoni, who is the Managing Director of the Omni Homestead, and Mike Bender, who is the County Administrator of Bath County. And with that, we're just going to jump right into the conversation. And as always, we have great stories before we ever start recording. Some of this we're going to repeat, but I'll start with you, Mike. How did you get here to Bath County?
So I came to Bath County in October of 2022. I came from the city of Richmond, and I was fortunate enough to get hired here as the county administrator. Had a complete switch of career fields. I came out of law enforcement in the city of Richmond, large urban environment.
For almost 30 years, right?
28 years, yes. And I was fortunate enough to come to Bath County, and it's been amazing. You know, we talked about it earlier. One of the big things is you don't realize the quality of life you have and until you experience something new and different. And Bath County is refreshing in that aspect, because the rat race of living in an urban environment, you don't realize you're in it until you get out of it. And it has been refreshing.
Yeah, and particularly in your former line of work.
Correct.
You know, that is definitely true. Mark, likewise, we talked beforehand, but you've got a great story. How did you wind up here at the homestead?
Well, I've been in the hospitality industry for about 45 years, you know, and had a great career with Westin Hotels and Resorts that took me all across the country, and spent the last 20 years before I moved up here in Savannah, Georgia, and kind of had one of those aha moments. You know, I just turned 60 and had worked for the company for 40 years and worked 20 years in Savannah. And I said, you know, if there's a time, you know, to do something big, you know, to kind of be a capstone for your career, now's the time to do it. And you know, fortuitously, it was right before COVID, and I didn't even realize COVID was coming. But I had retired from Marriott Hotels and Resort, which had bought in the Westin brand, and I got a call from Omni and said, "Would you be interested in leading the restoration, renovation, repositioning of the property?" And that's what I had done most of my career, was renovate, rebrand, open properties. And it was kind of a dream come true, and I've been here a little bit more than 3 years now, and it's everything that I thought it would be, and even more so.
What a perfect segue you've given me, because there has been a lot of work. We were talking, tourism and Bath County is symbiotic relationship, and you have done a lot for the county, and the county is, I understand, done a lot. But you want to talk about that relationship, and I'd love for you to tell people about everything that you've done with the homestead as well. I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Let's talk about that.
Well, so yes, economic development in Bath County isn't traditional because of, one, where we're located. We're very remote, isolated. We don't have interstates. We don't even have a traffic light in the entire county.
525 square miles, no traffic light.
Yes.
No traffic light. And that right there is an attraction for some people, I think.
And it's a great thing, you know, and it's something, you know, I think there would be a huge clamor here if VDOT or the county ever said, "Hey, we need a traffic light." I think that's going to be one of those things that you'll be like, wow, that caused a real big public outcry about putting a traffic light in. But so our assets are completely different. I mean, you look in the background and you see the natural beauty that's here, and it's everywhere. It's we have Lake Moomaw, we have Douthit State Park. You have a county that's got over 56% of the county is either national forest or state park. It's green space, and you know, you want to talk about feeling just that openness, and that you just feel better when you're around green and blue. And look, it's just green and blue. I mean, it's just everywhere you look. I mean, it's just the natural landscape here is spectacular. We have rivers, we have streams. You know, if you're an outdoorsman, this is the paradise. And there's so many different things to do here, you know, from hiking, mountain biking, fishing, boating, you name it, kayaking. I mean, I could go on and on and on. It's just...
Don't forget all the things at the homestead.
Well, sorry, I'll let you talk. I'll let you cover that part. But it's one of those things. It's like, you know, you've got all these, you've got this, but you've got all these other opportunities here too. And that's one of the things that we try to really promote is there are other things to do. And we want people to come here and explore and find new and interesting things that excite them and want to bring them back here. Yeah. You know, because it's like being in a different place, like a different planet almost. You just, when you come from large urban environments or places like that, you know, the population here is 4,300 people. For 525.
Smaller than some subdivisions are in population.
Yeah,
you know?
we're the third least populous jurisdiction in the state of Virginia.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is, you don't have traffic, you don't have congestion. It's paradise.
Mark, you oversee a resort in the truest sense, in a great resort, which was founded in 1766. I have to throw that in there.
America's first resort.
Now, talk about what you have done here and the money that the Omni has invested in this community to address some of the things that Mike was just talking about.
Well, first and foremost, you know, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for taking to the waters in our natural hot springs and warm springs and drinking, you know, springs that's up here. And that actually predates the resort, goes back to 1761. So, you know, when Omni bought the property in 2012, you know, clearly the goal or the objective was to do something that was, you know, going to be obviously, you know, a fiscally responsible thing, but at the same time, you know, what was right for the community, what was right for the industry, and what was right, you know, for the Commonwealth of Virginia. And so we embarked on what we refer to as our 100-year renovation. You know, how are we going to ensure that this property is around for the next 100 years? And frankly, a lot of, you know, maybe the stagnation of development in Bath County has been because the unknown future of the homestead, you know, and it went through some rough
troubling times.
They did,
right?
They really did, you know, and you know, it's a big property. You know, at one time, you know, this resort was over 20,000 acres.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, and you know, we've sold off a lot of it. You know, so you know, now some of it's nature conservancy, some of it's residential developments that are out there, you know, waiting to be built. You know, sometimes fortuitous timing works against you. In this case, you know, the residential component of you know, of Bath County through the preserve all came on board in 2007, 2008, which we know wasn't the right time to be, you know, out there with major
real estate.
investment.
Yes, that's right.
But the property, you know, I mean, you know, $160+ million. You know, a lot of it was spent on the exterior of the property, as you can see, you know, in the background. It's a stunning, iconic, you know, building.
It is.
But you know, it also needed, you know, work and money to bring it back to, you know, the grand state that it was originally, you know, built in. Obviously, a fair amount of money was put into the inside, and that modernized it. You know, we worked off of 5 tenets from a renovation standpoint. We wanted to ensure that we maintained the traditional aspects of the property, that you know, that we had the iconic features of the property, you know, came to the forefront, whether that's the clock tower, whether that's the Great Hall, you know, that those areas were brought front and center, that we added an element of sophistication, you know, and I think over the years, that was something that the property had lost, you know, just through normal wear and tear, you know, and some of that, you know, was in the fabrics that were selected, some of that was in the color palettes that was there. You know, the fourth element was, you know, making sure that it had residential legs as well too. You know, and people now travel. You know, you go back 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you know, you used to travel to a great hotel or a great resort to have the latest and greatest of things that's out there. Nowadays with technology and everything else, I mean, you don't build a hotel without having state-of-the-art Wi-Fi. That you don't have streaming services, in your guest room. You don't have 45-inch, TVs that is there because you think they're cheated. So that aspect of, was part of the residential components, but then also, even some of the style of the furniture, which we call, an element almost kind of modern classic. So there's sectionals that's in the rooms instead of the uncomfortable, camelback sofas of the past that was there. I think the biggest element that we did is from a design standpoint is we introduced light into the property. So the color palette's soft. Where we could, we tried to give it more of a resort feeling and less of a library feeling. At first, there was a lot of people
That's
said,
a great description. I like that.
And they said, you can't do that. And I said, give us a chance. And I think, the 2 or 3 areas, that we had where we did that very purposefully, both in the Washington Library and the Commonwealth Room, it really turned out well. In the Commonwealth Room, where we feature these huge murals, painted murals on the wall of Williamsburg, Monticello, Mount Vernon, and the resort. Now pop, before they were kind of hidden in the dark mahogany wood that's there. But then the last, element of the renovation was the infrastructure. Making sure that those things that are important to the guest, hot water, air conditioning, heating, was corrected. So all of them, all 3 of those major segments were tens of millions of dollars that, when it's all said and done, has given us a property that we feel confident will be around for the next 100 years.
You both touched on something that I think is really important, and it's the demographic that you're trying to reach. And I know you've had to adjust with the accommodations and all of the facilities, and that's very much in line with who you're trying to attract too, Mike, isn't it? I'll let you both talk about it, but I'll let you start off, Mike. You were mentioning some of those things earlier.
Yeah, so one of the huge challenges for us in an economic development standpoint is housing. We, as a county, it's huge geographically, small population, and unfortunately it's an aging population. We need to attract younger workers, professionals to come here or to stay here. Really, my goal is to get the people that are from Bath County to want to stay in Bath County and be able to stay in Bath County. And that's, we talk about the affordability of housing and with a limited inventory, the prices are unfortunately unattainable for a lot of young professionals that are just starting out. So trying to find a solution that works for Bath County that allows our residents, the people graduating high school or coming back from college that want to stay here or that have gone to a trade school and want to stay here, because we need them. And that is so critical in finding a solution that works so that we can keep the talent we have here and that they're going to contribute for a long time when I'm no longer here. It's how do we ensure the future of Bath County, the future of the resort, the future of the businesses that are here. And if we don't have a workforce,
how's it going to happen?
It's not going to happen.
Right.
And that's the reality of it. And so for me, that's one of the critical problems that we're going to have to solve moving forward as a county that's going to be able to allow us to attract people to live here in Bath County that will contribute for years to come and hopefully start the next generation of Bath County residents.
He said it. That's part of your workforce.
I mean, we're by far the largest employer, in the county. And during season, we're upwards to almost 1,000 people who work at the resort, and and even off season, we're in that 600 or 700 associates that's here.
Significant.
And it's an industry in many ways that is attractive to the younger demographic. Person that's out there, whether you're highly educated, in some of our managerial or our technical jobs, or whether your skill set is your personality, interpersonal skills, and your service oriented that's there. And because of our clientele, because of the positioning of the property, we have a lot of staff who make a comfortable living, and they want affordable housing though. And for us, if you've grown up in many of the cities or towns across the country, that's just a given, that you're going to have apartments or you're going to have, some entry-level, housing that's out there. That doesn't exist currently in Bath County. A lot of our workforce is right now, international workers. It works well for us, but they're seasonal, and the challenge that we face is that every year we don't know whether or not that the government's going to allow us to bring them back in. So for us, to be able to attract people here, and whether it's someone in our spa, where you can make very, very healthy living that is there in our engineering areas, again, very healthy living, our earning opportunities that exist there. Our bartenders or our waiters are out there who are making very, very comfortable living. And a lot of them are dual income families too. So when you start talking about that, it's not unusual for them to be north of $100,000. But they don't want to be in a dormitory housing environment. They want to go back to their apartment. They want to have their kitchen. They want to have their barbecue out there, and the grill in the backyard or something like that. So hopefully that's one of the initiatives that we can be successful in, because I would tell you, we lose as many people in the interview process as we hire, where they're just not comfortable that they can have the quality of life, not from what they can do here, but from those accommodations, that living standpoint.
From the livability standpoint. Yep. Mike, did you want to add anything to that?
So
you look like you were ready to. Yeah,
I mean,
please.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So for us, one of the another challenge is bringing in teachers, nurses.
Yep.
Yes.
Law enforcement officers for the sheriff's department. Where do they live? And that's a constant battle for the hospital, for the school system. They might bring in a teacher, first-year teacher, but where are they going to live? And they don't like living in an apartment over a garage after the first year. They want their own space, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So I mean, it's those types of challenges, and again, we've talked about how do we find solutions for it that will work for all of the stakeholders in this. That's the key.
And it's a dichotomy, in many ways too, because it's an American dream, to someone to have their house, to start their family that's out there. It's arguably still, one of the best investments, is in real estate, from that standpoint. And in an area like here, in tourism in general, it drives quality of life.
Yes.
And I think everything that Mike said, relative towards the activities, add the elements that we have here. It's a very, very attractive place to live. And in other destinations, that was the selling point. Where you were in an area where manufacturing or agriculture or whatever was driving it. That's where I sold. Well, tourism brings you activities. Activities, you bring you things to do. Things to do brings you quality of life that's out there. So, we've got all the ingredients now. We just got to, fill in, with, a couple of those. I don't want to say low-hanging fruits, but again, it's getting people to make an investment that is up here, and I think that, if they do a little bit of research, they'll realize that it's probably not that risky of an investment.
I concur with the things that you were saying when I made the move like both of you have recently. It was part of that attraction to that quality of life, to those amenities, and being able to sell that. And that's something that we're very interested in doing. And hopefully this actually supports this, is talk about these career path opportunities.
Yeah.
These opportunities that are here that we've not done a good job of telling.
Correct.
And why it's so important for our organization to be supportive of Bath County and Highland and Rockbridge and Page, and talking about asset opportunities. And I say that because we have the assets, but it's exposing that to a group. I love the demographic that you're also trying to attract now. I've been fortunate to be at the homestead in the past, but this pavilion didn't exist. The water park didn't exist.
Right.
Talk about your visions for both of you, because I think they're synonymous. I think they go together very well about where you're trying to go and how you're going about doing it.
I mean, for us, we kind of characterize ourselves or having our guests in a couple of different demographic areas. And I mean, or for that, lifestyle areas from that standpoint. Because we've got escapists that come up here, and
talk about some of those activities.
And for those, they just want to get away from the hustle and bustle of the city. And a lot of them times the bachelorette parties, bachelor parties from that standpoint, golf groups, guys, golf groups, guys, sporting clays groups that's out there. So that's one segment that we're out there, and kind of the sweet spot for those, are those, 20s, 30s, or young 40s, those generation X, Y, and Zers, they're the millennials that's there, and introducing them to what the homestead and what Bath County has to offer is critical for us that's there. There's the traditionalists, those people that love history, and so many people up here in the Mid-Atlantic area because of DC, because of Richmond, they migrated or moved to this area because of the rich, authenticity of history. I mean, we've hosted 25 presidents, at the resort. We were Camp David before there was a Camp David, from that standpoint that is there. So
that's a good point.
So we're working towards attracting those type of individuals. And then one of our key, key market is multi-generations. People that have been coming here year in and year out, who's brought their kids that are here, and now their kids are bringing their kids, here, and that's why a lot of the new amenities is out there, to make sure that we were attractive to young families, but at the same time making it fit for the older families. That's why with our expansion of our pool complex, we've added 6 more cabanas. So grandma who doesn't want to sit out in the sun, or grandpa or whatever it is, but wants to watch their kids, can watch them, in the comfort of a cabana from that particular standpoint that's there. I think attracting younger people to the area, I mean, and we position ourselves as a wellness resort, and when we talk about wellness, there's 5 pillars that we look at from a wellness standpoint. I mean, there's the traditional physical and nutritional wellness, and if you think about those things, we've got 11 different restaurants, and they're vertically aligned from takeout to fine dining from that standpoint. So you've got that kind of covered on the nutritional side. Physical, I mean, we're in the mountains. Mike talked about it earlier, whether it's mountain biking, whether it's hiking, whether it's zip lining, whether it's golfing, all of those activities there. But then maybe the less popular or the less obvious aspects of wellness, clearly social wellness, we as human beings, are creatures of community. We want to be around people. So for us to be able to go out there, and that's a key element also, when it comes to, even talk about housing and those type of things. They want a sense of community. A lot of, the county is rural or whatever it is, and I don't think the younger generation wants to be in a 5-acre, 6-acre, house isolated from everyone else. They want a sense of community that's there, and why we have some of the amenities, through our school system that is there. I think that's something that's critical, and again, that's why a lot of the things that we do at the property are oriented around socialization. The fourth element, again, is not surprising, that is out there, and that's dealing with intellectual wellness. And in a historic area like that, people want to learn. They want to be insiders. So for us to be able to have someone go up to the Warm Springs Pool as an example, and started off by telling that we've had, 7 presidents documented that we know that have been there, from Jefferson for X number of weeks, stayed up here, and rode by horseback, from Charlottesville, to take to the waters that is here. But then also to be able to describe that, there's 15 essential, minerals in the water, and why did they come here? And people want to have that insider aspect of what's going on. And the last element of wellness, and it's Bath County through and through, and that's spiritual or emotional wellness. That sense of with yourself, being able to do it. So all of those elements combined, you make it attractive. I think, more and more to the younger generation from that particular standpoint, because it's a place that can call their own, they're maybe aren't dealing with the highly competitive aspects of the more urban environments that's there. And I think one of the key things about here that people take for granted, we don't, and that's just how safe of a county that we have that it's there. I mean, you feel part of a community, and it's not about locking up your doors or locking up your cars or doing these things that's there. It's we're family. We're community from that standpoint.
Oh, that great segue for you to talk about that community. And
well, I tell you,
talk.
sense of community here is it's breathtaking. For me, because it's one of the things that was really eye-opening to me was the first few board meetings that I went to, and the amount of citizens that attended the board meeting and participated in the board meeting I was like, this is great. Because where I'd come from, you look at the populations there, and the amount of people that would show up at a board meeting was less than the people that were here at Bath County. And you're looking around and you're like, the citizens are engaged. They want to do the right things. They want to be involved. And it is a sense of community. And it has been. That has been one of the neat parts about coming here, is because I don't mind talking to anybody, and so I've talked to all sorts of folks from the county, various parts, various positions, and just to see what they think we should be doing, just to hear their ideas, because it's like, just because you're sitting in a seat doesn't mean that you have all the answers. And that's one of the things, it's like I try to listen to what people have to say, because they're solutions to all these problems that we're talking about. And it might be somebody here in Bath County that has an idea that would be game changing for all of us. But if you're not listening, you're never going to hear it. So that is one of the things. It's like getting out, meeting the people in Bath County, talking to them, seeing what they want, hearing what their concerns are, and we talked about some of the wellness things and ideas for the future, and it's like, we have all of these natural resources here that we could utilize, and I just look over in West Virginia, and they just had an international bike race that drew, obviously we wouldn't want to be drawing the crowds that they drew because we don't have the capacity to hold that. But to do things like that, to where we're starting to move in that direction, where you're having events that are at the parks, races and things like that. There's so many opportunities here to do that in the future that I don't think it's even been tapped. It's, to me, it's just a paradise of opportunities, and trying to get that right balance between what works for Bath County and bringing in some other new opportunities for everybody.
I think one of the things too, excuse me, we make it sound like we're in the middle of nowhere,
right.
And I think one of the real opportunities for us out there is to convince even ourselves, but our local, neighboring, communities and municipalities, that we're really not that far away. I mean, it's funny, we talk about, we're up here 525, beautiful square miles of paradise that is there. We're an hour and a half away from Roanoke. We're an hour and a half away from Charlottesville. We're an hour away from Stanton. We're 45 minutes, from, Lewiston, that is out there, about an hour and 20 minutes from Blacksburg. So we're not in the middle of nowhere. That's out there. And I think that, you think about, in living and having lived in, major municipalities that's out there, most people are doing an hour and a half commutes each way.
Exactly.
Atlanta, example, which is crazy. So even our ability as we move forward for people to commute, if it is an hour, whether it's living somewhere else to working here, or vice versa, the quality of life living here, to commute somewhere else to work, we need to let people realize, that we don't want to be an island on top of the mountain, that is there. We want to have interconnectivity, and whether that's, with our neighboring counties in Virginia or our neighbors, to the north and to the west and West Virginia as well too.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. Well, and we do have that connectivity. To your point, and I'm glad you brought that up, we are not in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
We have our own wonderful setting here, but this commute that we made to come here and visit is not that much longer than what I do on a daily basis, because I enjoy a somewhat similar setting, and I came here for that. And it is to tell that story and the connectivity that we have through, the broadband capabilities and things afford the balance of both.
And I think moving forward even more so, we'll see, hopefully more secondary homes.
Yes.
And that brings a sense of community, that builds, off of that service community standpoint with the hospital up here, and, the efforts that they're making, in offering more things, from an outreach standpoint, more physicians on the staff there. I'm on the hospital board, so I see the positive things that is happening there. Our airport, we're adding a new terminal up on top of our airport, the municipal airport that is there. So I sense, even that opportunity for people to come into the area, and whether it's summertime or whether it's weekends. I mean, you look at the areas like down in North Georgia or in the Asheville Cashiers area, Boone, in North Carolina that is there. Again, they're not in the in the middle of metropolitan areas too. So back to that original comment, I think now that they know that the homestead's here, and it's going to be here for the next 100 years, I think there's going to be more of a comfort level, to sit there and say, I want to, if I'm continuing to work right now, I can split my time, and come to a beautiful place like Bath County that has the convenience that are important for me to be able to live here, and as we attract not only the younger people, but maybe some of those early retirement age people that is out there too, that they realize that we do have the things that are important for them, like medical facilities, like a support structure, that the county here has to offer.
Yep. We'll wrap up, if you'd like. We could talk about housing. I don't know how deep we want to get into housing, but that could be a long subject. But that's something of interest to us,
Sure.
And because you said it. Both of you said it well, we must have places for people to live so that they can, be the workers that we need ultimately. And that's something that we're going to be working on.
Again, I think that's, that's the critical piece. I don't care where you are, that if you don't have the ability for a workforce to expand, your business isn't going to grow.
That's right.
And housing, if you don't have the housing,
it's a pretty simple logic chain, isn't it?
It is.
In the scheme of things.
To me, that's one of those things that for Bath County, I think long term, that's going to be one of the big challenges.
And I think one of the things, to add too, that we'll continue to create more jobs as the word gets out from the property standpoint. Another thing that we're working on diligently, is our workforce development, that's out there. But by setting up apprenticeship programs, that in the engineering and the trade areas that's out there, by dealing the same thing, on our massage therapists and those type of positions that is out there. We're working on something we call Omni University, that is getting people from all of the colleges in the local area, but even literally we have people who have joined us from Washington State, from Alabama, in our leader in development program that is there. We've got summer interns that are from even more schools that's out there. So the goal or objective is to take a very complex property like the homestead here, which is arguably as complex as any resort in the country.
It is, because you have to have people with every skill set in order to operate this.
And whether or not it's our 40 different activities, which are a whole different skill set that is there, or the complexities of being a group hotel plus a leisure transient hotel, someone who's interested in the hospitality industry, can get an experience here that they can apply to just about any job within the hospitality industry.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Really
Thank you
appreciate
for making the trip to Bath County.
It is a pleasure to be here. Of course, it's a pleasure to be at the homestead. Thank you for being both gracious hosts and covering a lot of the things that we like to talk about that we have here in the region and in Bath County to people that are interested in career occupations and also just a place to live.
Well,
Thank you.
Well, for those who have never
Yep.
been up to Bath County, please come visit us. I think you'll find that it's a very, very special place. Come soon and come often.
Yep. Mike and Mark, thank you.
Thank you.